So nobody knows what's the median, half the population. But we estimate, or rather I estimate, the median must be only about 20,000. Because 66,000 is all accounts, ordinary, special, and Medisave. Now Medisave cannot use for retirement. Medisave cannot use when you go to the hospital. So we estimate the minimum sum is about 21,000. Every year, the recent budgets are, we top up your Medisave account. You know, healthcare inflation was the highest item of inflation in December last year at 6.3%. What is the point of topping up my Medisave account when your healthcare costs and your Medisave premium increase always wipes out my ad hoc top-ups after a while? You know, you give me money that I can't use, and when I need to use it, it's not enough to pay for it because it's gone up more than what you give to me. So really, I think going forward, to all the young people here, economists, the arts people, the science people, look at the budget not as angpaos or handouts. Look at how they are addressing the major problems that we have. The budget said, we are giving you again higher HDB housing grants. What's the point of giving a higher HDB housing grant when the price of the HDB flat increases more than the grant? Then it's no longer a grant, nor is it a subsidy, right? So, housing eats up the most money of Singaporeans. So, the next time you see a housing grant increase, pray that the HDB flat will not increase more than that. You know, last week, there's an article in the newspaper. Someone bought a house, and then his brother wanted to buy the same house, which is the new one from HDB, next door, exactly the same house 1 year later, and the price went up by 30%. Look, according to HDB, new HDB prices are based on a market subsidy. Market subsidy means that if the resale price is going up, the new flat also price go up. It's got nothing to do with the cost of the price. So every day you see all these people cannot get married. Why? No house. So many of them, after a long time, I apologize to Alex, end up like him. Now the bigger problem is this. When you buy a flat and you cannot pay, what happens? You lose your home. You may lose all your CPF. And it's a bank loan, they may make you bankrupt also. Every 2 weeks when I go to the official assignee to do financial counseling for bankrupts, right? It's not for fun, you know. You get all these people coming, right, very sad because they could be homeless. What if they lose their homes? They bought a HDB flat. Lower income, poor people should never buy a HDB flat. Because the chances of a lower income Singaporean defaulting on a 30-year mortgage is very, very high. And when they default, no home, no CPF. And they be bankrupt too. Well, what is the solution to Singaporeans having so little money to retire? They tell you, oh, you can monetize your HDB flat. Even the bottom 20% has about 138,000 in value in the HDB flat. Well, in theory, it sounds very nice. If you sell away your house to get the 138,000, where are you going to live? HDB has a 30-month rule. You want to rent from HDB? Wait 30 months. You want to buy another new flat, smaller one? Wait 30 months. What are you going to do for 30 months? So this whole thing about that you can monetize your HDB flat doesn't work in reality. If you sell your flat, you will buy another one. You can't wait 30 months unless someone is prepared to take you in. You know, Singapore has created another world first. Our budget was originally projected to be minus 0.7 billion. As it turned out, it was 6.4 billion. We have set a new world-class first, which is the most inaccurate budget for countries. But actually, Hong Kong beat us last week. Hong Kong's forecast even. But you know what's the difference? In the case of Singapore, we raised GST by 2% to help the poor. So if you look at the budget, actually there was no need to raise GST, right? Now Hong Kong did the better thing. They did not implement the sales tax. And true enough, they had a much larger surplus. Now the way it goes in Singapore is this. Medi Fund helps the poor who don't have money to pay for hospital bill. They will top up the Medi Fund endowment fund. Employment and employability fund, they will top up. So in Singapore, they don't take the budget to pay for what you need to use the money for. They will top up the fund, and you can only use the interest from the fund to pay. What does that mean? To the arts people, this is very complicated to you. I try to simplify for you. What it means is this. If you have more people who need help, the amount that is being budgeted has nothing to do with how many people there are who need help. It is dependent on how much is in the endowment fund and the interest that comes out from the fund every year. So it's not like more people, so there's more money for you. No, the money depends on how much is in the endowment fund. And of course, every time you top up the endowment fund, a few hundred million here, a few hundred million there, it's actually like the under-reporting of the surplus. Right? Because this money are never used, you know. It's just parked there and you can only use the interest. Now, after this long introduction, we go to the subject proper, which is CPF Life. The most talked about topic since last Tuesday, because it is compulsory. Unless you have less than 40,000 in your CPF, then you are excluded. The whole basis of the scheme says, the new scheme is better than the old scheme. Well, not true. Why? Because it is not an apple-to-apple comparison. The interest rate has already changed to 5. So if you compare the old scheme and the new scheme, you should be comparing the old scheme at 5% to the new scheme at 5%, right? Because even if there's no new scheme, the interest has already been changed. So on that basis, this thing have pointer around. Well, have pointer but very weak. Okay? Under the old scheme, using the example of 67,000, which is the amount which 60% of the CPF members is projected to have in 5 years' time. In the old scheme, supposed to get $720. But the comparison given to you is $600 because it's based on the 4% under the old scheme. So what is the bottom line? The new system of CPF Life means that you get your money later, instead of 62, it's 65, and you get less money. For women, worse, $570, men, $604. Why women worse? Because they live longer. Right? Is there a blessing? Of course. Right? You know, the big movement now is to get the lower income to opt in, because less than 40,000 don't have money. So they encourage the lower income to opt in. They also encourage those who are older, where it's not compulsory to opt in also. So do you think the lower income will opt in?